We knocked out 20 gallons of chicken and sausage gumbo for some friends of ours at their wedding. Stick around. I'm going to show you how we got it done. So for a gumbo of this magnitude, you need a lot of roux. And that's what we did here. In this pot here, I have two 32-ounce bags of flour with 6 cups of vegetable oil. And Miss Cajun Ninja is actually inside doing the same thing, cooking the same amount in a red pot just like this one. After cooking on a low heat with a lot of patience, it starts to look like this right here. A lot easier to maneuver and a little bit more of a tan color. At this point, it was time to check on my wife.
What? Why are you making fun of me?
Why are you complaining? You gotta make that roux.
I'm making the roux. Now stretch your face. Mind your business.
Yeah, Dad.
Go stir your own pot.
Yeah. Okay.
How come mine's darker than yours?
Because some of us have to deal with children and homework.
Why are you looking way out to the side? I'm right here.
Well, I was looking at your face.
So I went put on some tunes and got to stirring. And eventually, this roux did get darker to that chocolate color I was looking for. When everything's prepped and ready, you gotta get that pot, heat it up! Of course, I lower this down to a low heat. These black iron pots, man, they can heat up quick. I add a little bit of cooking oil to this pot, getting started here, and I take a paper towel, wipe it down, spread it evenly. Like I tell you guys in the past videos, I like to have a nice thin layer of oil before I drop any meats into the pot. So here I'm dropping in my first bag of 24 pounds worth of smoked sausage. And there's my second bag. So I let this sit for a couple minutes and then I start to toss it around. It allows the ones on the bottom to kind of brown up and even create some fats before I get this thing really moving. At this point, I decided to let Miss Cajun Ninja do some work. I was gonna sit back, have me a beer, and watch her stir the pot. Nah, man, she kind of wanted to get in there, so I was like, come on, babe, grab this paddle, and let me see what you got. As I see this sausage slightly brown up, I know it's time to remove it from the pot and just put it into a large bowl, pan, pot, whatever you got, off to the side here. So I got this scooper here that's slotted, releases some of the grease, and then I put the sausage in this large pot that I have on the side. Left behind here, you'll see the gratin formed on the bottom of this pot from that sausage. So now it's time to drop in 35 diced up yellow onions. I got one big bag here and a second big bag here. A lot of onions that we are going to cook down. On top of that, we're dropping in 20 green bell peppers and 2 whole stalks of celery that have been diced up. So right here, I just kind of move things around on the top. I don't want to get to the bottom just yet. I kind of want these vegetables to sweat out a bit and break up some of that gratin on the bottom of the pot. And then gradually I'll get up in there, and as you can see, the color is forming beautifully, coming through on them onions. At this point, it's just patience and gradual stirring until we get the vegetables cooked down to where we want them. Just look at this action right here, ladies and gentlemen, by someone who truly knows how to stir the pot, the one and only beautiful Miss Cajun Ninja. This is when I add that paya seasoning. So I'm throwing in my 13.5 ounce container of paya seasoning. The vegetables have cooked down for probably about 15-20 minutes, and this is a good time to add that seasoning and blend in with the vegetables. So we just get that stirred in and continue to cook these vegetables down. Once I got that paya blended in, I'll add about 1/4 cup of garlic powder to these vegetables. Then I'll add 1 8-ounce container of minced garlic. I gave it a good shake before I poured it in. Seems to pour easier that way. Once again, we just continue to cook this down. As you can see, some natural juices here are starting to flow through these vegetables. They're getting nice and soft. I think it's time we can start incorporating some of our chicken stock. It was made with some of the remains of the rotisserie chicken we're using for the gumbo, and also the remains of the vegetables that we chopped up. I had 2 large pots that I had to do this in because it was a lot of chicken stock. So I got me a solo red cup here and gradually scooped some of this chicken stock and poured it into the big pot with all these vegetables. You kind of want to gradually add some of this so you can break up everything on the bottom or even on the side walls of this large pot. After incorporating some of our chicken stock, it was time to add some of this roux. So I grabbed a nice big scoop here with my paella wooden spoon and dropped it into our large black iron pot. Meanwhile, my wife kept stirring things around so that the roux could absorb in with the chicken stock. Mighty fine job, I say, this woman's doing in that little outfit she got on. I then grabbed some more of this roux and added it to the pot. And we just keep repeating this process. A little bit of chicken stock and a nice scoop of this chocolate-colored roux. And we just kept doing this until there was no roux left. Now at this point it looks nice and thick, which is good. We wanted a good creamy mixture here. We wanted things to incorporate evenly. And now that I know I've got it looking like this, I'm gonna add the rest of this chicken stock to the pot. However, before I do that, I'm gonna let Miss Cajun Ninja throw down 20 bunches of chopped up green onion. And that way we can get this blended in, and that will cook down in our gumbo. Man, I tell you, I love the flavor you get from green onions. I love it in gumbo, I love it in Vietnamese pho, I love it in etouffee. So good. So next we add this sausage back to the pot. I grab my little spoon here. I don't want all the grease going back in there. That could have maybe dripped to the bottom of this pot, so I'm not just pouring all the sausage in. There's already enough fats in this gumbo, so I'm just gradually adding the sausage. As you can see here, that's the grease that's left over from the sausage at the bottom of this pot, and I'm just gonna let it stay there. I'm adding this sausage in before the rest of that stock because it makes things a little bit easier when tossing this sausage around in the pot. You know, I'm less likely to spill over. Now that we got everything back in here, we pour the rest of this stock into the pot. Slowly add it in. And I gotta tell you, I was a little nervous right here. I was like, oh man, this thing is filling up. But turns out we had just enough. Whoo, that was close. So at this point, I mix it all together. I increased my heat a little bit because I want it to come to kind of like a low boil. And then I'll cover it up and lower it to a simmering heat. This low simmer actually cooks out the roux. As you can see, things are foaming up to the top right here. That's a process you got to go through. Let it cook down for like an hour, hour and a half, and that roux will cook out. After about an hour and a half of simmering, this is what that gumbo starts looking like. Complete deliciousness right here, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting close to serving time, so we're going to try and get this thing inside. All right, so we had to bring this thing inside, and we decided to hold off on the chicken because we had to get up these steps over here. Oh, man. There was very little room for error. Being one of the strapping gentlemen of Thibodeau PD's finest, help me out. So now I'm going to go ahead and add this chicken in a little bit at a time here. Don't want to get it too crazy. Ooh. There we go. So we had deboned 24 rotisserie chickens, and I was adding this meat in, but I didn't add all of it because it was getting a little close to the top here, and I didn't want to overflow. But this gumbo's ready to go. It's even still simmering. This pot's gonna hold some heat for the entire wedding. So we rolled this bad boy in, and the happy couple made their arrival. Look how cute. After ladling out some of this gumbo, I was able to add the rest of the chicken. And I even added a little bit of water just to kind of balance some things out. But look at that, man. It was looking great. People were taking photos. All in all, the wedding was a great time for everyone there in person and everyone there in spirit. Kick it up.
HDTV don't mean that much to me, 'cause I got higher definition in my reality. Ta-ta.